Hi everyone. I've actually tried to start this a couple of times, but I get tongue-tied a little bit, as I did just then. So I've actually decided to type it out and actually read what I've written. Now this comes from the head. I haven't actually rehearsed this or anything, but it is basically about the game that I just played and just finished. So I'll get started. So the last few days I've actually been playing a game called Bastion. It was actually gifted to me back in July for my birthday by a good friend of mine who is also a gamer. We've known each other since primary school, and we both shared a passion for video games and the like. And we've also caught up through Steam as well, which, if you didn't know, is actually a gaming engine like Origin or Big Fish Games or Wild Tangent or good old games on the internet. And they allow people to interact, and with Steam especially, they actually allow you to give people games. Like you purchase a game for as a gift for somebody else, as if you were buying it in a store and saying, "Here, I found this game. I thought you might like it. Here it is." So you're actually buying a game for a person, which is actually really cool because of the fact that who does that these days? I mean, and what sites actually allow you to do that? So Steam allows you to do that, and they allow you to buy a game either for yourself, for another person, or both, depending on what you want to do. Now, Bastion is not really a new game as such. It's new for me because I'd heard of the game before, but I hadn't actually played it. I knew nothing about it. It was made in 2011, from what I understand. So it's not a really new game, but it's not a really old game either. It's only, if you look back at it, it's only like 5-6 years old, depending on when it was actually made. For the purpose of actually honouring this gift, I didn't read up any reviews of it. I didn't look at any websites on it. I didn't seek out any guides or anything like that. I didn't want to spoil the journey for myself, because that sort of gives an indication, and you kind of get a lot of spoilers, to quote a famous game idiom, saying that you're sort of spoiling or wrecking the journey for yourself. So you're basically going in there knowing what's going to happen, knowing what you're actually going to be doing. But in this instance, I didn't. I went in there completely green. I had no idea what I was going to do, what the game was about, or what was actually going to happen. And that way I wasn't actually disappointed. I actually thought it was a really, really good game. For the age of the game, the graphics were absolutely brilliant. They were very, very bright and colourful, which appeals to a lot of people these days. They weren't dark and grainy or anything like that. There was no actual graphics for that I tampered with. I didn't need to brighten the screen. I didn't need to darken it or anything like that. They actually fit very well with the atmosphere of the game, because in certain places you would need the graphics to change and to become dark or light or whatever, depending on what you're actually doing. So that the game actually did that for you. Same with the sounds. The sounds were very crisp and very clear, and the ambience in the background actually made it good as well. The music was very nice. The music was very uplifting and bright and everything like that. And you got the feeling that that the game was sort of giving you that atmosphere, that sort of allowance for you to feel it and to journey upon with the game as well. The characters were really, really cool. Your main character was the main character didn't speak, and there was an indeterminable age of that character. There was a narration in the actual story, who constantly refers to him as a kid. So you get the feeling that you're looking at somebody who is not so much a child, but somebody who might be, I don't know, early teens or something like that. So not so much an adult, but a child or somebody who's a youth, what you would call a youth. Now the game sort of brings up a little bit more elements to. It takes from different stories. So like got the narration concept that you would find in games like the Stanley Parable. You'll find the combat arts and the fighting styles of games like Sacred, and the Elder Scrolls like Skyrim and Oblivion. And you'll also find there's also a development of a township. I don't know what a bastion actually is, but from what I understand, it's like a homeland or a hometown or whatever like that. So when you go out on your journey and you visit different worlds and different places, you come back and when you find certain elements like a shard or pieces of a monument, or these are used in the game, the actual place where you were, the home base, updates. So you get to put more buildings in there. You get more things like little creatures that help you out and stuff like that. It's really, really cute actually. So it's got that Myst sort of element where you go into different worlds, and when you come back, the environment has actually changed and updated. So it's got that type of thing as well. Now, and what else? There's a leveling up system, but you don't actually see it. It's passive, so you don't actually have any control over what you level up. The character just gets stronger and is able to handle more weapons and actually more upgrades, and gives the sort of element of a stronger character really. So there's no actual leveling up skills or skill trees, or you increase this stat or decrease that stat or whatever like that. So you don't, that goes on behind the scenes. Different weapons become available, and those weapons can actually, or supposedly, increase in power and strength as you go along the game, although I found myself going back to previous weapons found. And you can actually find upgrades as well, little bits of stuff that you can add to the weapons to make them better, but it depends on what you actually find. Now, there's a couple of moral choices. The game doesn't actually give you any choices, like you can choose which world to go through next, or whether you want to improve your skills or get more stuff. But there was really only 2 times in the game where you're actually allowed to make a choice, or given a choice to make. Two very sort of one not so very difficult moral choice, and the other one a very difficult moral choice. You get the impression that there's one person in there who's a bad person, and the choice at the end is whether you save that bad person or whether you leave them to the fate. I saved that person and didn't really do anything. It didn't, well, I could see maybe next time I won't. Maybe next time I'll just leave him be and see what happens. The next choice though was really, really hard, and this really made me think a bit, because you've gone through all that journey and you're given these 2 choices at the end, whether you want to complete the journey, restore everything to what it was and it finishes there, or you leave everything to the fates and you just evacuate people. I chose to restore everything because I just wanted to see how it all fit together. I mean, you've gone through the whole journey, the whole process. You're not just going to leave it as is. You're going to want to build up on it and basically just finish it off as it is. So I decided to pick the former and just restore everything. And I'm going to have to play through again to see what the other option is. So hopefully there's a save option there, and you can do that. The controls are typical of an adventure action game, so you've got the WASD keys on the keyboard to use, and you've also got the mouse as well to use the weapons. So it can be a bit tricky because there's Q button and E button that does different things as well, and when you get to the point where you're actually jumping, it gets really, really tricky because you have to sort of time it, and there's diagonal moves as well where you're using the up and left or right, or down and left or right keys at the same time. So, and you got to sort of, there's a constant falling mechanic as well, where there's just open space underneath like the platforms, because there's a void or nether underneath, and you're just constantly falling if you're not careful, and jumping across ravines and gaps for certain platforms and hills and stuff like that. So that gets really interesting, but that's only at the very end of the game anyway. And basically that's pretty much it. The mechanics of the game are actually really good. It's very simple to understand. You're a person on a journey trying to restore this world that was destroyed by, well, they didn't actually say what it was. It was basically just, they call it a calamity, so whatever that means in their sort of world or distinction or whatever like that, that they actually used that as something that destroyed the earth and or destroyed their world, and you have to try and put it back together. So the game mechanics are quite simple, but it's just the journey that the game takes you on that makes you feel for the characters and actually makes you kind of choose what to save them or save the world type thing. So it's kind of a moral type thing where you don't really know what consequences your decisions have, unless you play that decision again or play an earlier save that brings you to that decision. Try the next one and see what happens. So yeah, that's basically it. Bastion, really good game. Very, very interesting. It took a while for, I'll probably say the total gameplay probably went through over a few hours. I played it over a few days because it just went on and things like that. So I really enjoyed it, and if you come across it, please do buy it. It's a really good game. It's really simple. Graphics are brilliant. The sound is brilliant, and it's a few funny parts in it and a few surprises, and yeah. So anyway, have fun, good gaming, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.